Alright people, if you want to catch quantities of large bass and possibly your personal best, largemouth, smallmouth, or spotted bass, you've come to the right video. So this lure that we're going to talk about today is absolutely magical. But there's some specific details that I do to this bait that are going to maximize its effectiveness. So please watch this entire video to get every last little detail, because there's some really important ones that are going to maximize its effectiveness. Dylan, grab that net. The lure is the DRT Tiny Klash. It's been around for a while. It is right now readily available at a reasonable price. I was actually curious before I did the video, so I kind of looked just to see what they were going for. And if you don't know, this bait is going to go for about 95 to 130 bucks. Don't let that scare you, because you are not going to easily lose this bait. And what it's going to produce for you in return far outweighs what it costs. So when you take this bait out, it comes in what's called tail mode A. If you look at the tail, that's basically with the tail kind of pointing up. Everything we talk about in this video, you're going to fish it with tail mode A. Tail comes out, tail goes back in. Just make sure it's up there nice and tight. It's that simple. So if you're not familiar with the DRT, it has a lip in it. To get this lip out, all you do is kind of roll it to one side. To get it back in, I sort of push it from one end and then click it. So I sort of start at one end and then I click it back in. The first alteration I'm going to talk about is the hooks. These are the hooks that come on it. The problem I have with these hooks is, one, they're small, and two, because they're sort of an extra wide gap hook and they bend in, I have horrible hooking percentage with these hooks. I take them off immediately. So here is one of my DRTs all set up, ready to go. Look at the difference in the hook that I use. I mean, I hope you could see the difference in that. And boy, let me tell you, it freaking catches them. I have no problem. My hit to hook up to land ratio with this hook is amazing. When I first started throwing the DRT, I use these hooks all the time. And anybody else has a different story, let me know in the comments. But this hook is freaking horrible. But if you want to come through cover a little bit better, instead of this 1/0, use a size 1 and you'll come through cover a lot better. So this is that hook, ST36 owner, 1/0. Now, there's a couple things about this hook. One is that large size actually helps the bait float up a little slower. This bait is called a slow float out of the package. So as you crank it down, it slowly rises. I want this bait rising slower than out of the package. Number two is, because they're a round bend, when the bass slaps at it, it gets hooked like ridiculous quick, ridiculous easy. The penetration is quick. These are strong. You're not going to bend these out. You guys can trust me. Like I said, my bite to hook to land ratio with these hooks is freaking amazing. All right, so the next thing I want to go over is color. I think color is super important. So when you look at this color, it's sort of see-through, and I'm going to explain it the best way I can. If you guys look at enough DRT colors, you'll see what I'm talking about. But they're see-through, but they've got like a holographic like flash to them. Even this bait. All right, so it's a bright color, but it's see-through, but it has like a holographic flash. This color is flat. There's no, it might be see-through, but there's no flash to it. This color is flat. But if I had a choice to only pick one color, it's not going to be an opaque bait like this. And I don't care what the water clarity is. So these are my two main colors, and I've got probably a dozen colors. But these are my go-tos. Dirtier water, clearer water. Even though this bait, you can get away with it in the dirtier water because of some of the things I'm going to talk to you about in this video. The fish are going to find this bait because it has so much vibration. So they find it anyway. Even in a foot and a half clarity, you would think, right, that this is kind of clear water looking, but it works well. Cloudier days, morning, rain, dirty water, I might go with this one, or I'll at least try it. This one has caught me a lot of fish. This one has caught me way more. So when you're looking for a color, You want that clear, kind of flashy, holographic side. That's what you want. Back, there's a lot of green, blue, black, pink backs. I think this is the main thing right there, is that flash, that when you're working this thing, it gives off a flash, and when they come up to it and look at it, they can see through it a little bit, and I'm telling you, they smack the living daylights out of this thing. The next thing I do for this is I put a decoy size 3 egg snap on it. This is what I've always done, and I have excellent success with it. So these egg snaps that I put on, I don't want them to come off. So after I put them on, I take a pliers and I crimp down the little hooks so they're never coming off. They have never opened up on me, not once, knock on wood. So now we're gonna get to the biggest secret about this bait right here. The cool thing about the DRT is it makes interchangeable tails and interchangeable lips. All right, I've messed with all the different lips, different tails. I've messed with the whole thing, but I'm gonna tell you about the one attachment that outperforms them all. It is the wide lip. So this is the lip that comes with the DRT. This is the wide lip. So the cool thing about this wide lip is it's sort of available, and it's one of the cheaper lips, which is crazy because this one is ridiculously good. And there's a couple things I want to talk to you about it. One is it has a lot of vibration, but that's not the way we're going to fish it. I've caught them before with a reel and stop presentation. By 95% of the time, the way I'm going to work this thing is with a dead walk. I got some underwater footage, and I'm going to show you the difference of what this thing looks like with the wide lip and with the regular lip. So with that wide lip, you can see it wants to dive deeper, and there is way more body roll. With the wide lip, it stays more in that nose down position, and there's a more narrow walk, where that regular lip turns its body completely sideways, and it even spins all the way around at one point. There's no doubt in my mind that large bass are triggered by that tight walk. That bait also has a more sudden stop with that wide lip as it moves back and forth. I believe these little subtleties is what makes a large smart bass bite. And here is that dead walk with that wide lip at full speed. The difference is easy to see. Why they destroy this lip versus the regular lip, especially the bigger ones, I don't really know exactly. They love this lip. The other thing about this lip is this lip on a long cast, I can get down over 10 foot, sometimes in that 12-foot zone. So here's an example, guys, of me fishing this bait in 14 to 16 foot of water. This bait's at least 10 foot down, fishing over the tops of some trees. Here my bait is going over the top of that tree, and Mr. Bass is going to stick his head out pretty soon. He's pretty interested right there. Gonna come up and smack that Tiny Klash.
Yes, look at this peg.
You're never doing that with the regular lip. That regular lip will go down 5-6 foot at the most. This one definitely doubles it. And unless those fish are moving up in the spring or backing off after they spawn, or if you're in a real shallow place, say Florida, the whole place is 4 foot, wherever your body of water is, fish, especially large bass, they stay deep a lot of the year. Now, if you're seeing them on sonar and they're still only 3-4 foot under the surface, I still use this, but I try to make a cast close to them, keep my tip high, reel it towards them, and then I dead walk it when I get near them, because this lip is so deadly. So for those who don't know, when I say dead walk, basically you're going to do quick turns of the rod and as you turn it, you're going to pull your line and leave some slack in it. So it's kind of like you're walking the dog. If you know how to walk the dog with a spook or frog or whatever, it's the same thing. You could either do that with the reel, or you can tap, 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 tap. So you're going to tap the slack of the line. You're going to tap it, slack, tap it, slack, tap it, slack. And you're going to see in the underwater video what this bait should be doing. So guys, my advice to you, if you're new to the DRT, take it out of the package, exactly how it comes, and watch this thing as you're dead walking it all day long. Because when you put on this big lip, this wide lip, it's going to dive deep. You're not going to be able to see it. So you have to know in your head that the turns, either with the reel or the snaps with the rod, are creating the right action with this bait to get bit. So the last thing I'm going to touch on is the rod, the reel, where, and when. So when it comes to rod, a rod that's 7.5 foot, maxes out at about 2 ounces, is a great rod. Even 1.5 ounces. It's not really the lure rating on these rods. What it is you're catching large fish. So when you catch 4, 5, 6, 8 pound class fish, the smaller rod, it is going to be harder for the hooks to penetrate and to handle and control these fish when you get them hooked up. Keep that in mind. It's not about how you're going to toss or work the bait. It's about the fish you're going to catch with this thing. When it comes to the reel, you don't have to get crazy. Your standard bait caster will work. I throw 20-pound test fluorocarbon all the time. When it comes to when and where, in the spring, 45-degree water temperature, I start throwing this thing. In the fall, I throw it up to 45-degree water temperature. The thing I'll mention is the colder the water temperature, the more pauses or the slower you're going to walk this thing. If it's in the spring, almost think of this thing as a giant jerkbait. That's 100% if you're used to throwing a jerkbait, okay? So in the spring, you might tap, pause, tap, tap, pause, tap, 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 pause. All right, in the summer, or let's say as the water starts to warm, tap, 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 tap. In the summer, as the water gets real warm, it's a tap, 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 tap. And you do the same thing as the water cools back down. You slow your retrieve and you add in your pauses. As far as where to fish this thing, you can fish this bait in the most obvious of places. The reason being is, let's say that you have some huge, large laydown that everybody fishes. But when you fish this bait on that tree, it's not a shaky head, it's not a spinner bait, it's not a crankbait, it's a different attitude that you're looking for. So the fish that are going to bite this thing are completely different than the fish that are going to bite a shaky head. They're not the same class of fish. So you can, one, throw it in the most obvious of areas, fish behind people with confidence. Number two is fish this thing anywhere that looks bassy. Anywhere that is a great ambush spot for a bass to ambush prey. You're talking about docks, pilings, riprap, overgrass, bridges, stump fields, sunken trees, stick-ups, absolutely anywhere a bass will hang out to ambush prey. The clearer the water, the less close you have to be to that spot, because this thing has tremendous drawing power. And you could draw a bass 5, 6, 8, 10 foot away. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on this video and this bait. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.